welcome back to another episode of The Daniel Taylor Show. What is that you say? Could you think of a more pretentious name? In fact, we couldn't. We had a focus group specifically for that name, and that name, the woman to my right, is to blame for. That was his thought ghost. That was his baby. How did you come to that? Oh, let me introduce her first. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, my guest is one of my long-term best friends. He goes by a lot of names on the streets, but in this house, he is Sir Justin Richard.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Do you like that I used your God-given name?
Yeah, my government name. I'm a big fan.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Put it out there for everyone. Yeah.
I don't always like to teach you things, but Daddy just wants to let you know that you have to talk into a microphone. You're like, yeah, if I want to.
It's debatable, yeah. Yeah.
I'll see if I feel like it.
Depends on how seriously you take these things,
So what's hilarious is I'm nervous because I know you. I'm pretty sure this will never be put out. I'm hoping it can be. So I'm just going to start with that on record. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
We talked about it a bunch right before we started.
Yeah, being appropriate is important. And I remember I remember the talk in detail. And I'm going to do my best for you, out of respect for our longtime friendship.
Oh, I love you, dude.
Yeah.
I owe you. I'll fix that fucking flyer you wanted me to do while I was driving. But don't worry, I owe you that for this.
I'm just trying to give you purpose in this world. Make sure you're doing all right.
Dude, thanks. I need it. Too little, too late. I almost offed myself 15 times already. Oh, but for heavier things to talk about.
I mean, it's relatable, right? In this day and age, we get it. We all get
another one.
Oh, man.
That's a good one.
Justin, you want to introduce yourself at all? In case this does go out?
I don't.
Want
actually.
me to?
Oh.
I'll do it.
This will be interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Next to me is multi-platinum songwriter, two-time Nobel Prize winner.
Nobel prize. It's close.
It was the Dominican Republic
basically
version?
the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. Still good. Still credited there.
Mm-hmm.
No, Justin is, like myself, a serial entrepreneur. How about that?
It's fair.
See how nice I'm being? So you remember that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Just keep that in mind.
I appreciate it.
Owner of the wildly successful, at least in terms of this area, Downtown Delivery. Sometimes I question because I know it so well, because I'm used to and constantly projecting what I think is just real to everyone, and I'm like, oh, you know Downtown Delivery, fucking. They're like, no. Or some people will surprise me and be like, I use it twice a week. And I'm like, wow.
There's
okay.
a lot of people that use it twice a week, and more power to them. I made it like for me.
Yeah, right.
I was my demographic when I made the business, so it's like I'm glad that it's still doing its thing. We're coming up on 5 years here in January.
5 years.
Yeah, the big 5-year mark.
Another one.
That's great. I feel like that's worthy of that.
It was.
there. Yeah, no, it's appropriate.
It was thoughtful.
Yeah.
That is huge, though. I forget. You know what's funny? That is a cool topic that you and I could definitely talk about at length and should. I'm not saying we're like experts on it, but we've done that. Like sometimes I think of, was it Steve Jobs that would hire procrastinators because they were so efficient when they were doing things for turnover?
Yeah, and I mean, he was all about like just any sort of like contrary mind, because he was so different in the first place. And I mean, it's for me, it was a compilation of kind of the roads of life and kind of fell into it backwards, really, honestly. Everything I did in life as far as schooling and computers and sales and customer service kind of all came to a culmination of it just working out for me at the right times and stuff. So as
it
much
really
as
did.
As much as I'd love to like, take a lot of credit for it and feel real good about it, it was a culmination of my relationships, and just being able to really use my resources and the people around me. So,
dude, you want me to misbehave?
I owe you a big thank you.
No, you're the best. I would do it for you again. That's what friends are for. I love these shows about that, though, because it's funny. A lot of people would like, at least like, not the big shows. The big shows are big shows because they're genuine and they know what the fuck they're doing. Not that I'm saying we do, but I certainly don't skate around and be like, all right, today on local access thing, here's, owner up. That's so stupid. Because the thing is, people need to know context. I feel like people see that stuff and, they'll have whatever they think that, if they take a stance of envy or jealousy or happiness or self-doubt. Some people don't, the funny thing that we disregard wholesale is that some people get envious for themselves and not you. We want to take it like you punch me, I want to punch back. And it's like, dude, some people are just envious at their own detriment. They're like depressed because they can't do something like that.
Yeah.
But what they don't see is the story. They read the last chapter and they're not like, this kid had to pick tomatoes in a greenhouse, grueling for how many hours a day, how many days a week, hated it, dozing off on the way and on the way back from. I mean, like just terrible, like call centers and dealing with the public and all of the stuff that an empath will have to deal with to do that. I mean, I was the same way. I mean, hard labor every summer on construction sites and carrying 5-gallon buckets of sand all day for 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
All day.
You get to a point, I think, in life where you're just like, I cannot see myself doing this for even another few years or whatever. And it's such a deeply felt feeling.
Yeah.
And you just have to scrap at whatever is available to you. And for me, at that tomato job, we get to listen to earphones all day and do whatever.
You had
75 different audiobooks. Like, and most of them were, either self-help or some sort of.
That was your actual final count?
Yeah.
75.
Over 70. I mean, there was a lot of like classic fiction ones and stuff just to kind of pass the time and stuff, but getting into audiobooks in general and using them during times where I'm doing busy work or handwork or whatever and absorbing information like in ways I hadn't done since school. Like it gave me a new opportunity to learn about shit I actually cared about. Right. And ultimately that's what led to me caring more about trying to develop myself as whatever, a business person, anything like that. So self-help books, audiobooks, really that's like my number one advice. You want to get into entrepreneurship, then look into some of that stuff and just absorb it.
I have 2 points for you as a friend, but also for viewers that don't know us. The hard thing about shows like this, and the reason some of the friends that you know on this channel, subscribe if you haven't, are doing funny shows, and you'll get this, is it's like I tried to make it clear that if we tried to do something like Nate and I are doing, it'd be fake. You and I, this relationship is so fucking old. What isn't ironed out? We're going to sit here and be phony trying to pretend. Yeah. But the cool thing is there's a lot of things we don't revisit because we've known each other so long. Like, number one, just to quickly, go back to what you were saying, I think the cool thing is if you don't have mentors that are accessible to you and you're vigilant about the sources that you're reading, they can act as a mentor by proxy, and they do. Yeah, exactly. And you were smart enough to realize, I don't have that database of people. I can make it.
Yeah.
Like literally. You and I have always been futurists in the way of, we were very aware at a young age that the internet is an endlessly invaluable resource for knowledge, and we treated it like that.
Yeah.
I say that about the same way we would smoke weed. It's like, it seemed flunky and we dealt with our own complexes how we dealt with them. But the way in which we were using it, as corny as it might sound and as cliche as it might sound, was kind of that same way. It was like, this is a tool we can use to
expand consciousness.
Sure. And that's what we did.
Yeah. And then like when the iPhone first came out, like I had it.
You were such a heavy, this kid was such a heavy proponent for the first iPhone.
It's super cool. And
you got
fun.
it like first week.
Right. And like it had all kinds of crazy stuff that phones didn't have. But like its value to me was Google.
Yeah, I know this. I remember this.
Literally just being able to look up anything and everything on the spot was such a game changer for me because conversations, debates, whatever. You had the opportunity to be informed.
You get in debates?
It's right. And this is well before any fake news stuff. And and you were taught to vet your sources even before fake news.
That's right.
You used critical thinking in order
hold on, let me back him up. If you were a critical thinker, because the problem is if that's your baseline, which it was ours, to do that. The danger in the current climate is a lot of people don't.
I feel like we were taught to navigate search engines when they were first being a thing, and they were like, so not everything you find here is going to be like something you want to trust.
Right, dude, there is a flippancy now. Yeah, dude, there's a flippancy even in like scholastic shit, like teachers and shit. I just produced a show, and one of the musicians was a teacher, and I didn't know this to the end. And I was talking about that. I didn't do the same old pandering, how's dealing with kids going through puberty? I was like, how's dealing with information and teaching kids that they need to vet things and that they can't go to imright.com or 1-800-KISS-MY-ASS.
Yeah, it can't just be the first thing that grabs your attention and the first thing that you identify with, so you don't want to dive into it anymore.
That's right.
And then that's what Facebook age generation is.
Yeah.
At least to me from the outside. It's just, instant gratification, absolutely no integrity as far as like the intellectual stuff goes. So
it's tough. It's tough because it jades. Well, I mean, currently in our recent past, I'm the fucking fragile-minded freak where I'm like, that stuff literally, I can't do it. It actually affects me. Like I know it affects everybody, but that'll knock me out for a week.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And that's my own shortcoming, but it's still true. You got to be careful of that shit. I've become extremely vigilant, and this channel, as corny as it sounds, has been a big help for that. Like saying that shit. Like, listen, I'm just going to do whatever. I have to be me. Because of music and my career, I was like made to be held up to some standard that I really didn't self-impose.
Right.
I was okay with it. I let it happen because that's the thing.
Because
that's
it's
what you
part
do.
of the industry, right? It's part of the
I'm your
the
dog,
path, yeah.
you know, give me my treat for my tricks. But it's like, this is cool because we don't have to do that, which...
It's fun to hear you say that so many years later, you know, like having to
Is it weird, dude? We're getting old.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it, dude.
But like going through it, you know, like and being friends
you can-
with
hey,
someone
by the way,
who's
you can-
becoming a performer, it was like, you know, it's weird to see from the outside. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, like, you know, the ins and outs of this person and the genuinity, but then you have to play a part, like literally. And I can't even, just watching you do it from a distance was exhausting for me.
What's cool is I was lucky enough that you knew me to such a critical level that like you could watch it genuinely. Because a lot of my friends, even when they knew me, like when the EP was doing well, they knew me for a long time, but they were so removed from that experience of it, which you weren't. You had a heavy hand in all that. And you got to see that. And the problem was from the outside, you can't control the rhetoric. And I knew that going in. And I say this on one of the episodes I don't remember what it was of this show. I talked about the pain that was selling a product and having it sell well that I didn't believe in, and selling a product and having it sell well that I couldn't be honest about. So there's things you know about it that other people don't.
Yeah.
I mentioned that it was sung kind of dry, where that's usually, if you ask my business partners, that was my selling point. They're like, well, I hear you live all the time. Why didn't this measure up? And it was like, we were so conscious stupidly about the business end of like, if this doesn't work, we can make it demos enough that we can ship it and sell it and have other artists cover it. But that means you can't impart a ton of flavor and a ton of skill. Like if you put too much Daniel Taylor in there, artist X won't be able to see any room.
Yeah.
And like the funny thing is, you know this, and the other people that helped market that knew it, but I couldn't. How are you going to sell a record saying that? You can't.
Exactly.
And it, like, dude, it tore me apart.
A production line record.
Yeah.
Like you do something with it, but like, you can't be an artist and then also kind of trying to be pushing your music out there for anyone to use. Like this, you want to put as many lines out there as you can get, so you can get some bites or whatever. But it's like at the same time, it's so taxing, and it's like they work against each other half the time. So
they certainly do, and it's tough though. It's cool to hear other people say that and let other people, whoever's watching, hear someone else say that. And you have nothing to do with music. You helped me because you're one of my best friends, and we had some marketing plans, and we did it, and you helped. We needed a team. I mean, that thing took off so fast and so furious that nobody was prepared. Yeah, you'd think that we would have. So I have this thing about me, as you know too, because I'm wildly, almost to a naive extent, ambitious, because I'm passionate. I'm a creative. I like ideas. Even if I don't think mine are the best, I still am passionate about them in whatever vein I see them working in. And that was the only one I can think of that I didn't even think about success. And sure enough, isn't that weird? That's the one that takes off, and we're left with, what the fuck do we do right now? Yeah. Like, who can we hire? Who can we assemble? We were like, overnight, we were 2 months behind. It was crazy. What was because again, this being kind of my show and the brand of it, even though the name will change. And by the way, we talked about this. I want this to be out in the open. I actually want people's opinions and ideas. I want ideas for show names. As long as you're cool with me when you give me a good one, taking it. Don't worry, Justin has his own, and I can see him trying desperately not to say them to behave.
I like to fancy myself good at coming up with names, a namist, if you will.
Wait, real quick. I want your unabridged, honest opinion. Ready? How fitting, even if you don't like it, is Paranormies?
I mean, yeah,
for what it is.
It's one of the better ones.
Come on, dude. Come on, dude.
And you're,
into the layers, because it's, so Nate came up with the idea that
it's good enough that I don't want to give you the credit it deserves.
Dude, you know what? At 30 years old, with all of our mental issues, I'll take that. That's a huge win. But I wanted to say something way back, because me and this kid love to talk in paragraphs, and I'm kind of forcing his hand to behave because we have a lot of funny banter. But you know what's funny is, again, if we wanted, and I'm extending this invitation, you and I could certainly make a spinoff, and that would be fun as shit.
Do I get to be silly, or do I have to?
You can still be silly, just don't say something I got to cut off. Like these, I think people like that we don't have to cut, because it seems like we're not hiding anything.
Okay.
Also, if you behave, guess what? We'll do the first ad.
Can we take a poll on that? Can we ask?
Take a poll.
Are we allowed to cut scenes if I get a little much? Like, you guys hate that?
And then just do the Chuck shrug. I don't know.
It's just hard for me to take things seriously, guys. That's it. Like, it's just
It's cool. It's your personality.
There's a timer on me at this point.
That's how you are. He's being really behaved.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
hilarious.
starting to squirm.
I can see it, dude. You're getting uncomfortable. It's okay. Do you want me to pause so you can let out a bunch of expletives we would get canceled for?
Just give me like a moment of silence. To
okay, everyone be quiet. Okay, and we're back. That was good. Perfect timing. It's so bad. Two people think that's funny and they're sitting in the room. I wanted to go back to something that was 15 minutes ago, and that was, it's cool because we grew up you as like a big brother figure, but it was so fun for me to watch you do this downtown delivery thing. And I've told you this before because I'm the romantic fucking Frenchman that grew up with all women, but very proud of you. I really am. I want that on record. I want people to know that I'm proud of you because you, dude, the way you pulled up for yourself out of all the reasons you had not to is really impressive. And looking back as someone that's been through recent trauma and is very level, at least right now, because I'm a nut, it's fucking impressive, dude. And you should like.
I appreciate it. It's just hard for me to feel that because it was so much anxiety, like all the way through. Like,
is it still
everything that forced me into it? Like, you know, as far as my life paths and stuff, where you know I ended up not being able to get a lot of the jobs that were offered to me. You know, mistakes I made in the past, type of thing. So it was. I had a pretty stress-filled life in my young adult life, as far as like you know trying to make ends meet and stuff. So when I finally got forced into the corner of the tomato factory and stuff, and I just got to a breaking point, and it coincided with me also getting into self-help audiobooks, and pieces really fell together, and I happened to have the right people on my team and the like minds to kind of push the whole thing. So it went from just being an idea that I talked about a lot for 2 or 3 years to something that, because in large part to you, was able to get off.
I don't know why it's in large part. I mean, I know some things I helped with, but
you facilitated some of the very first meetings. And you know, as far as small businesses that are brand new, and you're trying to build partnerships with restaurants that have never done something like this, you have to have those ends. You have to have those associations in the first place in order to build or have trust to work with. So
right.
It was,
no, I get that.
In all the graphic stuff and in the design, it's like It's weird because it does feel so long ago. Like I'm back.
Doesn't it though?
I'm back in town today, and like the main reason of it is because DoorDash is now in town. And
are you serious?
I have.
How did I miss that?
I have to hedge against $1 billion company.
Hold on. DoorDash is in town.
Yeah. So
how did I miss that? Where do they deliver from?
And they're trying to sign my restaurants. So I say no, they're not my restaurants. Obviously, my partnered restaurants. But
dude, what?
So they went to Jade Palace and like some other ones. Like I guess I shouldn't say names or whatever. But they
you can. You do what you want. Yeah.
They've scalped a few already. So I had to run around and try and
sweeten your deals,
get some exclusivity clauses and sweeten some deals, and that's exactly what I did. But it's anxiety, all the way through. It's cool, like the way the business is structured. I'm glad I was able to do something that was so fitting for me, but there's not been a moment of it since it started I've been able to feel properly good about it.
Yeah, sure. No, I get it. Well, here's something I want to bring up just because I think it's important and you would agree. And I think it's cool for like new entrepreneurs to hear. I feel like a lot of this market will be young up and comers. I mean, we're 30.
Yeah.
When we were 18, we listened to 30-year-olds talk about shit like this. Yeah. And I forget that because I'm always, we're like each other. We have so much mania that we forget to take a second, breathe, and be like, holy fuck, dude, we're those guys that we watched, at least in some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, like we're sitting and podcasting in chairs and drinking now. We
adults, like own a recording studio. Yeah. We're sitting here. Like, this is, I have 2 points now thanks to your interruption, and it's this. I'm fucking with you. It's this. I feel every day like I've won. And I remember that even if you just had this bare room we're sitting in to sleep in, you're better off than 90% of the world.
Yeah.
You have to know that.
Yeah.
And, when I get depressed and I get in our swings, because you and I are both very much undiagnosed a few things, and I feel like someone gave me some feedback that I should be careful about throwing that stuff around flippantly because some people are those things, and that's, it's not nice to hear as a joke.
If you had a hard life and it hangs with you.
Yeah. I had nurture and nature against me, and that's tough. And so did you. So you get it. But my point was this. We forget that. You got to take a pause and be like, dude, look at who we were raised by and what we were raised in. Look at yourself now and take pause and be like, yeah, we did win, dude. Anything other than this is a blessing. Like you said about something we won't talk about just before, and you realized it was so dope to hear you as like an older brother figure to be like, even though it's not being delivered in the gift wrap I expected, it's still a fucking gift.
Yeah,
you didn't say it that
absolutely.
pretty, but I've been thinking about that, so I can.
No, yeah.
That wasn't a,
That's
that
a
wasn't
nice
a
way to
quip.
class it
It
up.
is though.
Yeah, I
It
agree.
is.
Yeah.
You know, you got a free car. You're going to complain about the company,
Right.
You know, come on.
Yeah.
So, but that was the first one. The second one was, I think people need to hear this. Entrepreneurship is a dynamic thing. It's not static. I have so many people ask me on a day-to-day, Dan, when's the next project? Dan, you haven't released a song in 5 years. What's your problem? And I'm like, well, you really want to go down that? I don't think so. So leave me alone. But beyond that, only my closest friends, and you have this too, know some of the revenue streams that I have for entrepreneurship because they're not, I don't need to promote them. There's no need to publicize certain things. Kids need to hear this. If you're a musician, if you want to start a delivery company and your goal isn't to own a delivery company, it's to be an entrepreneur that owns a delivery company, you do have to diversify. You do have to do more things, but you have to know this. You don't have a boss. You don't have a schedule you have to show up for. You are the only one responsible for that. And I think that's a thing that I know these self-help books help a lot, but they forget that all the time. There is a side of entrepreneurship that's really hard. Your self-accountability has to be through the goddamn roof.
Exactly. And when you're
I
in
want
it for
your
more
take
than
on that.
a couple of years, like, you know, if specifically you as an artist, right? Like
Sure.
you have to come up with new music. There's very public expectation upon you. Like in entrepreneurship, you do make your own hours,
That's
right?
right.
You make your own days off. And if you have a business that works passively making you income,
Sure.
you can easily get into a groove of, I don't really have to do much, or I can give myself all the mental health days, or I can take a vacation. I'll get back to it next week.
And it's easy.
And it's so easy. And you feel like, well, why shouldn't I? You know, like I should really enjoy some of it sometimes. But
Have you had a hard time personally with that, do you think?
oh yeah, absolutely. You know, because my business is set up so that it does come through a passive form of revenue, so I can manage it from my phone
You could be in Mexico on a beach and literally run it.
anywhere. So
Right.
it's just, it creates this very weird pressure for yourself. Like you are totally and solely responsible for your own success. And you also are like trying to err on the side of mental health, and getting enough sleep. And you just find so many excuses or reasons to not take action over time. And that finding that balance where like, you're naturally an ambitious person and you've got really good ideas that you might be able to get some traction with, versus like, what do you actually have the energy for?
That's it.
What are you mentally prepared to do?
That's right.
Like, how much of a routine have you already established?
Oh.
You know, like how many of these mistakes are you going to have to go through, and how many times are you going to be able to stand back up?
That's right.
And be like, I'm not just failing at being an entrepreneur. This is entrepreneurs.
That's right.
Like you,
That's
it is
dude, that's
a
exactly
series
right.
of fails over and over and over. And if you don't feel good about it, generally you're probably doing the right thing.
Yeah,
You don't ever really want to be too comfortable.
I found if you feel good about it, but you don't feel good, you're generally doing the right thing, which is so bad.
Yeah, like what is it? Oh, there's a quote. I think it was Denzel Washington. Or
Is
something.
it roughly what we just said?
It was about comfort being like the most dangerous thing.
Oh,
to,
dude,
to,
yes.
a person with real ambition,
Ooh.
like any sort of comfort zone at all, which is obvious to a certain extent, but hearing it after having lived it,
That's
like,
right.
It just really hit me. And I was,
Well, this is why, again, an entrepreneur being a dynamic thing, you have to stay vigilant, because the thing I just said, which is inherently true, but they're not exclusive, that like we do have to realize that we are, privilege is heavy because of sensational media, but we're privileged.
yeah.
And the thing is this, that is comfortability. And when you realize if that's
100%.
the stance you're taking, we already won. That's pretty comfy.
Right.
You got to be real careful. So you have to acknowledge that shit.
Yeah.
But you can't let it disillusion you. And sometimes we do. I do. You do.
Yeah.
We're very similar.
And
It's
just
tough.
General ambition, right, says that you should always be trying to be productive.
Sure.
Like, and that concept in itself, just like being part of who you are as an entrepreneur, is just so heavy sometimes.
It
like,
is.
You feel like, when is it appropriate for me to like pull back, and when is it not? And then having manic tendencies, it's like sometimes it's easy and it's go, take advantage of that. But, the flip side of it is it's like some days it's just impossible.
Yeah. And I just think I don't know why I decided to hone in on it, but I just don't hear that talked about much. It's like, you know what? You and I grew up very much on the new age spirituality stuff, and I still live by it, and so do you. The thing I still wish was talked about, this is akin to what I think should be talked about in entrepreneurial self-help books, is the drawbacks of that.
Yeah.
And it's never talked about.
Yeah, as far as like the anxiety and the weird depression that comes with trying new ventures and putting your livelihood on the line. Like, I was at a job I hated, and so it wasn't really hard for me to quit that job.
Well, of course
my
not.
Secure
You had
income.
already quit it in some ways.
But like for everyone around me, like that was like hey, maybe you should not, make sure you can try and do it without quitting your job.
Be honest real quick. Did I ever say that?
No, you were
That's right.
Absolutely not. But
hey, where is it?
Sound effect.
Another one.
No, but like,
Another one.
because it's unreasonable.
It is.
When you are like you come from a family who's either gone to college or worked at the mill or whatever. Entrepreneurship is you're stepping out. Like, are you sure you're that type of person?
That's right. That's right. Dude.
You're breaking the mold, and that's something that you don't necessarily have to be bold to do. Like I said, I kind of fell backwards into this, but like at the same time, you have to know, and you don't. Nobody prepares you for the anxiety involved in having your whole everything on the line, especially if there's a public aspect to it. Owning a public business, a lot of people use being an actual artist,
being
with
a public figure.
Yeah,
it's terrible. I wanted to ask you something too. Let me actually, you know what? Let me give you an anecdote because I can't be too specific. I should have told you this first. But this is the problem with listening to people when you don't have mentors that don't know what they're saying, right? So I would argue that the people that said, maybe you should try to stay where you're at and make this work to be safe, I would hedge an argument that says they meant that out of love. And through their limited perspective, that's what made sense.
Absolutely.
And to keep you safe.
Exactly. They were looking out for my interests.
Here's where that burns you. Since this seems like the episode of the caveats, because this is what we're talking about. I've let people do that to businesses. So I have to be vague, which is fine. They don't care. But to you could connect the dots. I had this extremely original idea for a housing development that I've been working on for 2 years now, year and 9 months. It's unbelievably unique, super specific. I ironed that thing out. I put in 100 hours a week, not even kidding. You know this. Had it down, priced down to like the individual nails. I mean, it was ready to go. I was to the point where I was about to pitch to investors. And an opportunity came up in the cigar industry. So I pursued that, and now that's in the works. Here's the problem. I had people. The only reason that I switched to this new venture, right, and I didn't stay steadfast and paying attention, was that I had people that had no business and no experience tell me, this is a pretty risky venture, it's a very expensive venture, and your ass is on the line for this venture, right? Which I knew.
Right.
I didn't pursue it. I said, okay, let me make this more, it's still expensive, but a more doable idea work, and then I'll come back and I'll do it. There's no rush. It's too unique.
Build up to it, yeah.
I looked at land. I mean, we were right into it, right? Kelsey comes home one night from work and goes, big company from Mass just bought a whole bunch of land in Dallas Plantation. I'm like, of course they did. There's not enough housing. And she goes, guess what they're putting in? And again, I can't say it, but the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, number one, my mind goes, was it as simple as someone that was quoting me tipped someone off an accident? Or is it the synchronistic, I had the idea, so 5 other people did, and they beat me to it?
Was the idea in the conscious
That's
cloud,
right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, though. Here's what sucks, and this is where I'm getting at, right? Fuck my idea. I don't want any pity to the viewer. I'm just telling him because he understands, and I haven't told him this, literally. This is as candid as it gets. But the point of this, I'm going to call this episode Caveat, because here's the thing. Had I not listened to people, they had my best interest in heart. They did not mean to make things go awry.
Right.
But it just so happens that helped influence things to get fucked up because I let them influence me, and they don't know that.
Right.
These were not business people. These were not, capitalists and entrepreneurs. And there's a danger in that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Because being an entrepreneur is taking a big risk.
Huge risk.
It's always that, and it's always deeply uncomfortable. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's instances where it's a little easier than others, obviously, but it's one of those things that you're not taught about that in
Not at
school.
all.
Like, the limited, college that I did have was specifically about entrepreneurship. None of it is about like the emotional management aspect or like dealing with the anxiety of trying to be not even just like a one-man business or whatever, like just being a boss, for the first time ever, and having people under you and having to deal with the pressures and just the routine of it all. Like, you're teaching yourself, no matter how much schooling you've had, especially if it's a new business, and it's just they teach you the more common sense aspects of like, hey, it's business, so you got to do this. Here's how to do your taxes and
They
stuff.
teach the black and whites. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't teach you how to be a person.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
still run a business.
Well, this is why I've always told you that I think you'd like Into the Layers, which is on this channel. Feel free to check it out, because it's a lot of that. It's not like we're sitting in here in our little pity party and I want Nate to give me a hug or him me. It's that we're obsessed with IQ in the scholastic, mechanism here, but no EQ. And it's like, that is really important. Like, we were never taught, at our own detriment, we had to come to terms with how to deal with our own mentalities and our own shortcomings.
Yeah.
Like, so my little sister wanted to start this venture, who is anyone that has seen her work knows she's a wildly talented photographer, videographer. And everyone in her close circle was trying to dissuade her from making a purchase and putting herself out there and extending herself a little bit for an idea. And I said to Hayden something that when she left, she ordered the camera before she got home, because I said it like this, and it's just, this is how I have to deal with me. I wasn't trying to teach her anything. This is what I do. I said this: people are right. You could use the gear you have. You could take your time, and you could eventually get to a point where you can just buy that in cash, and then you could take the clients where you need that for, right?
Another one.
I did not mean to hit that. Thank you, DJ Khaled.
Get another client.
Yeah, that's
another
right.
one.
I'll give it one of this because I know I did hit it. So I said to her, I'm me. I'm very much like you. And what I know is I'll never take those jobs because my personal anxiety, my personal complex base won't take those jobs with the shitty camera to save the money to do the good ones. If I force myself, if I force my hand by financing the camera I can't afford, it doesn't just force the investment. It also gives you confidence. It kind of tries to level that scale that we're here on. Yeah. And you get that. Dude, I said that and it was like, I can't believe no one has said that to her. You could just see that. And she was like, oh, I'm buying it. Yeah. Because she got it. She's dealing. The problem is school teaches you, again, what's the books look like? Can you work that in accounting? And they don't go, are you a depressed, also manic procrastinator?
Do you know your own tendencies?
That's right.
Like that's right. That's number one.
That's right. And we have to live within them.
Handle stress.
That's
How are you going to recover from failure?
Yes.
That's like a lot of it. And ultimately, do you have passion for whatever it is you're doing? Like, you really have to ask yourself that. And are you willing to do whatever it takes to?
That's right.
You got to realize the goal in your head before it happens, well before it happens.
Well, a quick caveat. I'm going to keep going on that. But a quick one, this is true, is we can also, because we're crafty people, I don't want to say manipulative, but we're crafty, we're passionate. We can swing that in our own mind to go, yeah, I'm buying it because I'll have the confidence to book the client, the gear to book the client, and to push me. And then you might not do it.
Right.
There's that thing where you can manipulate yourself into a position you want to be. Again, you have to be so vigilant if you're an entrepreneur. You can't do that.
But that's what it is. It's like I kind of force my own hand a lot of the times, where in places where I know I struggle, I will I'll do something kind of like that, where I'll invest more of my time, or I will spend extra money on something to make sure, like, okay, I'm already this much invested. I need to follow through.
That's right.
And sometimes you got to have a contingency plan, because basic ambition does not always come through.
No, it doesn't. And it's really relying on you being, anyone watching this is going to be like, dude, if you say it one more time.
Why don't you say it?
Upfront, open, and honest, even with yourself.
Okay, as long as you don't say that C word again. I don't want to hear it.
Wow. I never said a C word. Have you seen
all the time?
Have you seen Two Bears, One Cave? Tom and Bert Kreischer. Tom Segura. Every time they start, and Bert is so oblivious he doesn't know, but he does. Tom does it every time. He goes, and we're live. No, dude, the Jews didn't deserve what happened. Why would you even think that? Hey, welcome back to Two Bears. Dude, it's you. Every time I see it, I'm like, dude, this kid. We're gonna do our first mid-show ad read. Okay, you want to help me, or you want me to do it alone?
What is it for?
Chime in if you think you can help. Yeah. I'm going to do it in the style of all the podcasters right now on YouTube.
Fun.
I have to say it all excited. Downtown delivery. Hey, Justin, do you order food on the regular?
Definitely.
Dude, me too. I get so lazy and get so wrapped up in all this entrepreneurship that I don't even have time, dude. I can't go to a restaurant and get food. I don't care if it's only 4 miles away. That's where downtown delivery comes in. These guys have the choices of 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to stop me when I'm there.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
You got it.
A lot of restaurants at your fingertips that you can order from. And you know what? The delivery rates are reasonable. They're extremely reasonable. And Justin takes the hit on the back end to not have to upcharge on the food. It's owned by somebody somebody local with a good heart and a good hairline. And that's what matters these days.
You know it.
Go to downtowndelivery.com.
No, you come on.
Downtowndelivery.me. Did I get it right second time?
Literally helped me design the flyers.
Downtowndelivery.me to check out the restaurants on the repertoire and get your order in. And for the next, until this code isn't active, do you want to actually give a code?
No.
Go to downtowndelivery.me / the Daniel Taylor Show for 0% off, and that link will not work, so don't visit it.
Don't do it. Just go to the website, though, because if you need food, we got it.
That's right. And they have an app, right?
Yeah,
in
both app stores.
Okay, yeah. In the iTunes store and Android, they've just searched Downtown Delivery. That is Downtown Delivery. Better hell.
Nice.
We just start fake ads, giving company promotion that we don't even get paid.
I mean, you pretty much nailed it.
That was pretty good, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give myself one of these. No, not my song. God damn.
God, you need like a much bigger soundboard for sound effects.
Oh, dude, you know what I thought about? What we could do if we do a spinoff, I'll invest in it. I was gonna buy.
Do I get one?
I was gonna buy the guest one.
Oh, I will do it just because of that.
Dude, hold on. We're gonna do this live. Well, not live, but you guys are gonna see this to hold us to it. We're gonna do a spinoff, and one of our shticks is gonna be every show we're gonna download our own sound bites and surprise the other person. Cheers me.
So I get to do sound effects
and pick your own
whenever I think it's appropriate.
Anytime you want.
Yeah.
Dude, we got to do it. Absolutely. Real quick, back to serious though. I love that. Plus, I know you. If I didn't know you and I was producing the show, I'd be petrified because I'm like, we're going to be canceled because of this. Because you're being you. It's funny. I knew when we started rolling, we were going to meet at a real, because we do. We like to have fun, but also, we're intellectuals at the end of the day and we like to talk.
We're hilarious and super
But
smart.
you also like to. Holy shit, dude.
No.
Oh.
Yes.
No. It's all you.
Continue on a totally serious note. Go ahead. Please.
Are you parched? Do we want to get even a soft bevy from my fridge or nah?
Is that a real question or?
Yeah, you can if you want.
I thought we were friends. I thought you knew who I was.
Okay. Help yourself to any number of the beverages in my fridge because you and I are the only people I know that grocery shop for liquids.
Yeah.
Have you looked in my fridge right now?
I do enjoy myself a soft drink or two.
Dude, I'm bad. Ask me what I drink or, whoops, I just gave it away. Eat for breakfast. A drink. Drinkable yogurt or a smoothie. Good ones though, not Go-Gurt like you.
No, I just skip breakfast like
a boss.
Like a boss. I got too much going on,
Oh, it's so bad.
I'm too stressed out all the time.
Hey, real quick though, because I'm going to try to keep it an hour. We have like 20-ish minutes. We've been doing this thing on Paranormies, and we did it a couple times on Into the Layers where we do a Reddit read because it's fun, and you and I are huge Reddit users.
I love Reddit.
Is there something that you've saved or anything on Reddit that'd be cool to read? You be down for or no? Anything business related or?
Yeah, I mean,
we don't have to.
I was really following this one thread that was from like almost 10 years ago.
Or paraphrase one. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it was like almost 10 years ago, and it was about aliens abducting like this one guy. It was his whole story. There we go. It was
I've had practice.
It was this whole story, and for whatever reason, like I read through all the comments. Like this guy, the original poster, commented on everybody's questions. He answered them pretty promptly, whatever. It seemed credible-ish, in the way that the guy was non-assuming. He wasn't trying to be boastful.
Assuming
or
is
like
my
that.
least favorite thing about paranormal stories. I talk about it at length, so I'm happy.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, I deemed it like, I was like, whatever, this guy's like weird, but maybe,
Yeah.
And he said that they had basically expressed to him, like on the many times that he'd been pulled up, that they were going to come back on a very specific date. And I think it was July 8th or July 18th. He said he couldn't understand because they spoke with a weird type of accent or lisp.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so it recently got brought back up, but he talked about a lot of other stuff that was like kind of happening at this time period. So I was pretty jacked for July 8th and or 18th
What
as far
year?
as disclosure this year.
Oh, are you kidding me? And
Yeah.
you read this like a decade ago?
Yeah, and I was actually in a totally different unrelated thread. It was about stock stuff.
No
and
shit.
somebody referenced it. They're like, it was like, wonder if this is going to play
And you're
into,
like,
any of the stock stuff that's going on.
I've
And I was
read
like,
that!
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh my God.
Did anything
Is
happen
that
on July
back
8th,
from-
18th? I don't remember.
No, nothing.
None of the Tom DeLonge disclosure bullshit?
No, I mean, they've already,
It's not bullshit. I love you, Tom.
In the last year or two, there's a bunch of like U.S. Navy plane like surveillance tapes that have been
Pilots
released,
talking about it at length.
from
yeah.
the government, you know, like, so there is some credibility.
Hey, wait,
to
what's
all
your take on that? Because I wonder if it's like controlled dissemination shit where it's like,
So now they're saying that
why be so open about it?
Now
Because
they're saying
Blink
that
182 wants you to? Like, come on.
they're saying they don't believe it's extraterrestrial. They're saying it's a terrestrial threat, and they just don't know where it's from.
So here's my question to you. We're going deeper. Do you believe that rhetoric?
No, I don't.
So you think they're saying that because they're like, listen, information's too free. It's going to get out with or without our hand. Let's get in front of it, but let's lie so we don't cause the panic we're trying to hide.
Yeah.
And let's say it's terrestrial.
So where are you going to tell me that some sort of super technology came from on planet Earth
Where we don't see any remnants anywhere
right
else.
now? So you're trying to tell me some other country has technology that is light years ahead of ours that allows crafts to move in all kinds of crazy ways
That break laws of physics left and right.
So yeah, where did they get that from?
Right.
You know, like they just kind of like tweaked it up in a lab like in the last 10 years. Like,
So you go where I do.
So like beyond that, like you got to think space is so large. Statistics just say like there's like zero chance that we are the only intelligent.
I'm not a scientist, but I say zero chance. Not like zero.
Yeah.
Because it's like I said, so on Paranormals, we talked about aliens, episode 3, I think, we had at length. And I was saying that I don't know the like form of evolution. I mean, who would guess ours if we weren't us?
Yeah, like the missing link thing. Is that what
Yeah,
you're talking
I mean,
about?
who would know?
Yeah.
Who would know?
Well before Ancient Aliens or anything like that was on TV that talked about those things, when I first learned about evolution and they talked about literally, they said there's a missing link and this is the question mark. I was like, huh, that's a little strange, you know, with in regards to like a lot of like what there is out there as far as like evidence, even before those television shows made it public.
Yeah.
It was like, it's not far out to think that if there was some other super intelligence out there,
maybe they have some involvement.
Yeah, maybe they found something, gave it a little tweak, and now they're playing Sims from a distance. You know, like
we've always thought of this, and again, this is that phony shit. I know we've talked about this at length. If you want another beverage, go grab one. I have beers, sodas, waters, whatever. They won't mind. Nate takes 5 pee breaks a show. I don't know what happened to a poor guy.
No,
but I was going to tell you this because I think you might have a cool take. And again, this is it'll be a little phony for him because we've hashed this out many years ago and at length. But I think it's funny that we cherry pick the ancient books that we call gospel.
Right.
Like we've always been interested in the Book of Enoch, like Book of the Dead, Dead Sea Scrolls, because it's like they are equally as ancient, or roughly.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are they regarded as fantasy, but these other books are like, historical fact. It's like, dude, there's books that talk about like missing books of the Bible that talk about the hand that spacemen, angels. It's like, Steve and I talk about this too. If you lived in ancient Egypt, or if you lived in not even, let's say like 400 years ago and you saw an alien and you're like, what would you call them if they're in the sky in a UFO?
Yeah.
You would say, what do you drive in? Oh, a chariot?
Yeah.
Oh, we saw fire chariots in the sky and ancient Indian deities that flew on carpets, and it's like, come on,
They
dude.
literally didn't have words to describe what they were seeing, so
They
it
use
comes
their
up in
vernacular.
all kinds of different interpretations. So it's crazy. Just it's not a large leap by any means. Statistics support the fact that there's definitely like it's a thing. Intelligent life is out there. But
of course,
on top of that, when you look at like the way our world is, ancient civilizations that have just disappeared, there's a lot of very big question marks as far as how things were and like how did they develop these things, and like we thought we understood the Stone Age, and then we're finding evidence of tools being used like even well before that. It's like our history books are being rewritten all the time.
Talk about coming back full circle. Our history books should be as dynamic as entrepreneurship, because as new evidence, that's a really huge fault of the academic world, is like when they have their beliefs. I've heard a lot of this recently in podcasts about scientific thesis and theory, where when a science is sound to the bulk of a scientific community, it's sound. Yep. And challenging that is pretty tough. And it's like, why? If it's peer reviewed, why?
Yeah.
That's the point of peer review.
Yeah.
If it exists out of a vacuum and it's legit, then okay, it's new science. Why fight against it?
Right.
You would think in 2021 we wouldn't do that.
Right.
But we do.
Growing up like with religion and stuff, and then looking into world religion in school, like is kind of like what got me into aliens and stuff. I kind of I remember finding out that there was some sort of council like in the Catholic Church, like however many years ago, where they basically redacted books from the Bible. They pulled,
yes, I
they
did.
pulled a bunch of books they deemed inappropriate,
Yep.
and
that's what
apparently
led to King James.
yeah. And there were books about, you only hear about Jesus as a baby and as an adult.
Right.
Apparently there were books about his in between, and they weren't so great.
We're going with heavy, apparently.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Super heavy, apparently. You get it, but like it. And when I heard that, I was like, that's totally possible. Like, they were trying, the Dark Ages, they were trying to control people with fear and religion. And then you look into Hinduism and Buddhism, and like the Vedas are, I'm going to slaughter it now, but like the ancient books that have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, like, and they have like the first kind of philosophy about the way things are, and you realize they talk about all these gods and stuff that could easily be aliens, stuff stuff that they don't understand, and gods and aliens theoretically could be interchangeable.
That was where I was getting at the start. Is it's like, the funny thing is, I have this issue with paranormal shit where I'm not disregarding whatever your experience is with paranormal shit, not you, but people.
Yeah.
I'm saying you don't know what it is. Stop labeling it. I think it's just science we don't understand yet.
Yeah, it's just like,
and that's fine.
Whatever that quote is magic is just technology we don't understand.
That's right. That's the same thing. So the funny thing is, I think people's trip up with aliens is Hollywood. I think they don't like the little green dude with the big head. And it's like, dude, what if these things you think are angels, if those exist in your philosophy, in your reality, are the same thing? Why would they have to be different?
Yeah. Exactly.
What if that conscious divine power is that?
Yeah, and maybe they all are different things, and they all exist, or maybe they all don't. Who knows? But like, there's a lot of like pretty. They're not large leaps you're making here in logic.
I think if you can,
that's the thing,
right? If you can entertain them with some semblance of grounding,
and skepticism,
right? And not go full on. I was going to say Alex Jones, but the funny thing is, I like Alex Jones as a comedy figure, as an entertainment figure. This is the same thing. When you label Alex Jones as a journalist and you take him for like your nightly news, there's your problem. Like, there's people that are fun. There are ways to put them.
I still hate the role he plays in the world.
Oh, me too. Me too. I hate the role a lot of people play in the world, but it's like, we're going to get down a rabbit hole. I shouldn't. I'm no authority to talk at length about what I was just going to bring up, so I won't.
But yeah, so like, back to like the aliens and gods thing. When you learn to think about God as maybe an alien, or if you've seen like Westworld or something, like, gods don't have to be gods. They could just be us slightly ahead. Like,
that's what I've
literally.
Dude, you want to know something?
Have a little bit more technology. They could have just planted life here because they're at that point in their evolution where why wouldn't they spread life? And they're just watching for
the whole
distance.
Planet X thing.
They're not here to answer your prayers. They're not here to do anything. They just gave you life.
That's
it.
What was that? Nibiru or something?
Yeah.
The planet, yeah. Well, I was going to say,
X, yeah.
You know why you can tell I was a complete space cadet growing up is that's what I've always thought God was. Before that was even a theory, I'm like, it's probably just us, just ahead. We've had that trip for years.
Like I like
before
Westworld
that was common
because
theory.
of that. Like, the whole idea is that gods don't have to be some supreme being.
No,
they can just be slightly ahead of you.
I like Westworld for how like indiscernible at the end the gods were from their creation. It's like, I really think that's what we're tiptoeing. And again, this is a lot of the Hollywood effect, but like, we could be tiptoeing on that with AI, where it's like, if you put it in the right vehicle,
absolutely.
I mean, it could be indiscernible
in our lives. It will happen.
Yeah, that's
guaranteed.
It's like, scary.
The way we see it in the media now is, it's not desensitization to something that's inevitable, but like, it is inevitable.
Dude.
It is absolutely, because AI is going to become more personalized. I think the movie Her is a perfect example of what we can expect for AI. Like, just an assistant that talks to you like a person and that answers all your questions, and that it's going to be something that you basically can't live your life without. Instead of having a phone in your hand, you'll have a digital assistant that can do and say anything.
I think it'll be implant based. You won't even need to have it on a computer.
Yeah,
but
it could be anything.
Wasn't that Spike Jonze who helped do Jackass? Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
It was a good
Speaking
movie.
of Jackass, you know what we need to do to make sure that the whole iRobot scheme doesn't happen when we make AI? We got to give them the funniest, corniest safe word. Like for dominatrix shit. We got to be like, Oklahoma! And they just shut down. Like pineapple!
I think if you're teaching AI, which I guess you're not.
What safe word would you give robots real quick? I'm going to get them there.
I mean, pineapple.
It's a little weak. Oklahoma's good, but it's not mine.
I don't know. You'd want to do something that's like kind of degrading to them, you know?
Oh, you want to take a jab and shut them down.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. You got to, like, the last thing they hear before they power down, like, hurts them.
Control Alt Delete. They're like, don't date yourself.
Or I don't know. Like that would be something I would really want to like hit home in a certain way.
Okay,
so I would
you want to
invest a lot more time in thinking about that than the average person.
Give me whatever your best thing is by the end of this, and then if you have to leave it in a comment when this drops in a month, you can.
Robot safe word.
Okay, but continue. Just think about it a little bit in the back of your head.
Okay.
If something comes, shout it out.
Yeah.
We got roughly 10 minutes left. Again, we can go as long as we want, but these are such a bitch to wrangle. I try to keep them to an attainable length. I liked where we just naturally go. And I've said this to you it's had to be a couple of years now, that I knew that you would be good in a setting like this because, again, this is what we do. We would have this conversation on my couch playing Black Ops. Like, it doesn't have to be in front of a camera on a recorder.
Yeah. I mean, this is literally what we do.
Has it honestly and candidly been fun? Do you dig it?
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like, because this is literally what we do. Like,
yeah, we're not playing
the idea of it was weird to me.
Did you think? Be honest with me. Did you think that we could be candid enough?
Yeah, it was just a matter of I haven't had to be on good behavior. You know, like you've
done really well, my friend.
There's business
done really
me, well. You know, there's business professional me that knows how to present myself to professionals, and then there's me with my friends, and you know, I really try and compensate when I'm with my friends.
Let me give you I got to give you a hand so that you feel good for being well behaved. You are one of the funniest motherfuckers I know, and I'm excited to let that out some. But wait till I have a good base so that I can't be shut down before I begin. Okay?
Yeah.
Or let's do a spin-off where we can make that a disclaimer. Yeah. We can make a funny intro like the intros I'm showing you, where it's just you and me somber like all the celebrities when they're like, I take accountability. And then Joaquin Phoenix is like, I take accountability. You know, we could do one of those where we're like, we're like the Mila Jovovich from The Fourth Kind.
Yeah.
We could do that start thing where we're like, the expressions and the opinions you're about to hear are that solely of the two actors on this, and we'll give ourselves stage names.
I don't care what anyone says. That movie is one of the scariest movies.
It is one of the scariest movies. It pulled at such a smart string that hasn't been touched.
It doesn't scare me personally.
No, but it's fucking scary.
Yeah, but like I hear that other people are very scared.
Oh yeah, so yeah, dude.
It's like me personally, like it's just it's whatever. It's a good movie, but it
doesn't affect you, dude.
It didn't scare me.
No, no. You like owls and 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And your bed when it vibrates. Do you have a paranormal story?
I've seen a UFO. Yeah. I have.
Is it an interesting enough one to tell? Because I got to give you a head start if it is.
Yeah. I mean, it only takes a minute.
Okay. I want to hear it. Here we go. Floor's yours. Oh, wait. Let me set you up.
It was pretty terrifying.
I want to make this really good. Sorry, Steve.
It was pretty terrifying. Not in a way that I didn't get like abducted or anything. It's just me and a friend were on top of a mountain, kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Was it Luke?
No, it was Vinny.
I haven't heard this. Oh, yes, I have. Yes, I have.
And
were you under the influence of drugs?
No, I think we were just drinking wine and smoking weed. So yes.
Okay. Well, no.
Yes and no.
Not enough to see something that. Yeah.
Right. Soft yes.
Okay. I'll take a soft yes.
Yeah. So basically, we were out there playing. We were talking like we are now.
Yeah.
We were talking about aliens and the theoretical like rationality behind it, like, and how it's really not that far of a leap in logic, and
sure,
and then we were wondering about technology and the power of intention. Like, can you put out that you want to be contacted by
sure right.
Can you sit there and try and literally focus on just one thing, and since our minds work with frequencies and vibrations, and we have brainwaves,
and you could amplify it by 2,
like maybe they have receivers, maybe they can interpret our brainwaves, and what we're thinking. So we literally just sat there for like maybe 5 minutes.
You're kidding.
Looking up at the stars, like the way the rocks were set up and stuff, it was perfect for us to like kind of lean back.
Hey, not to interrupt, what mountain were you on?
Tumbledown.
Okay, continue.
Can't go up there and camp anymore because they ruined it. But
you actually, it's like illegal?
Yeah, they stopped it this year. It's no longer open to camping for the public. But anyways, took one of my favorite places in the world for me. But it's
no big deal. I'm still upset about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not super upset about it. But
dude, if we were comedians, you would have been smart enough to keep interrupting, and I would have had so much fun.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not a comedian either. I'm not shitting. Yeah, I'm an idiot.
I'm not.
All right, continue. Sorry. So there's a nice open.
Yeah. So we're looking
landscape.
up, and we've decided to like. We've had enough smoke and drink to just give this an honest shot.
Sure.
Like, we're like, okay, so it might be ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah,
what else
you're
are we
feeling
gonna
good
do
enough
while we're up here?
to who gives a
right,
shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So moments of silence, not even 5 minutes, looking around, seeing a couple satellites, following them, and I see what I think is a satellite at first, and I'm just following it because there's nothing else in the sky, and there's a million stars out there. There's no light pollution at all, so it's super impressive, and I just love it anyways. So I'm following the motion, and all of a sudden, this one little satellite is no longer one, it's two, and they're kind of like crisscrossing as they continue across the sky, and then there's like almost a full 180 in the sky by both of them, and they're kind of like, and I'm like, what? Like, you know, like I'm just, so they did this little turn. They kind of continued almost on the same exact trajectory across the sky, like that they were on before they had kind of peeled off it. And this is way off in the distance, satellite size. You know, I can barely see these lights, and I'm like, to the point where I'm like, Vinny, can you see those? Like, am I
right?
Am
Once
I
you
just
knew
seeing
you were
things?
you were seeing something, right?
And so he's like, yeah, like those little, that satellite, and those. I was like, there's more than one, right? And yeah, okay, yeah. And so we're both watching it, and we're both like,
and they're dancing with each
whatever.
other.
And so like, there's a moment where we're like, this is pretty cool.
Dude.
And then like in that moment, like where we're both seeing it, and we're both like, oh, this is. It goes from satellite out there to like all of a sudden it is a big ball of light, and it's 1,000 feet over us tops. Like it is helicopter above us. Like, and it's just totally silent. It went from off in the distance to literally almost not directly above us, but
But
right
you're looking up.
Right on, yeah. And it's right on the edge of the mountain, right above us and way close, like
Dude.
a helicopter. And then it just proceeds to slowly, like basically go around us on the mountaintop.
Like you thought in your mind it was like kind of checking you out, maybe?
Oh, well, we literally were like trying to call one in.
Right,
and
right,
so
right,
then
right.
this happens. So at this point, I am just terrified, trying to still my mind, like just have no idea what's about to happen next. Other than that, I know that I cannot explain what I just saw, and that somebody else is also seeing it.
Yeah,
So
do I love the validation of that?
exactly.
That's key.
And so just terrified like I've never been in my life, and just laying there with like a small amount of excitement.
Oh,
The
right.
rest is terror. And
But it's
so
covered up with complete sheer terror.
So it goes from way out of nowhere to like right above us, and then it does this slow, totally silent like circle around the top of the mountain above us, and it's kind of like changing colors and stuff. I couldn't tell you which because I'm colorblind and stuff, but it gets back to almost the exact point that it started at,
and
the
gone.
circle, and then it gets bigger and bigger, and then just gone on an angle, like out
Jets
of
off.
just straight away from us, like totally just.
And you
There's
can
no
confidently say
100%
that you were sober-minded enough that it was completely there. Like
And
you weren't
Vinny
taking shrooms.
No shrooms.
Wow.
None of that. And it was totally, he saw everything. We didn't talk for, after it happened, the silence must have lasted, I don't know how long. It was long.
Wow.
Long enough to really wonder whether or not you just saw that like 100 times.
Yeah.
And to be like
your body does a soft reboot.
You were so deeply scared that you're slowly coming back to your senses and trying to figure out how to process that.
Not to interrupt, but it's literally like when you scare a prey and they're frozen.
Right, because
that's how you felt like.
Because exactly, you
You're
don't
like,
understand what
just
power
slay
they
me.
can have over you, and
right.
and in that moment, because I'd up to that point believed objectively in aliens and that I wanted to see them and stuff, and then it happened, and I was so scared of what could happen in those moments, and then it was gone, and I remember when we did start talking, Vinny and I, he just burst into like laughter.
Oh, like because that's all he could
just
do.
Maniacal.
Yeah,
laughter.
because what are you going to do?
Right, and it was, and then that's all you can do.
That's right. And I love that, like, you were one of maybe the least sensational person I know. So I said this last podcast, and then I'm going to go to my end strategy I was in with, and I say that I'm learning that I ironed out a lot of my beliefs, as did you, very young, because we put time into them. But I'm forgetting as I get older that I'm getting older, and that a lot of these things, I pride myself on revisiting and constantly challenging my views and stuff, but I'm finding that I'm kind of short-sighted on some. I haven't rechecked my views on paranormal activities to some extent and other people's accounts, and that not everyone is my parents and are lying about everything. It's like, I know you, you're not lying. Right. I know you.
Yeah.
You have no reason. That doesn't help you. In fact, if I know you well enough, you'd probably rather, if you were lying, you'd rather not even tell that story because you don't want to I'm you don't care about that.
Right. And I don't want anyone to think like, oh, I'm some like, I've told that to a handful of people.
Oh, and they
freak,
right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like people don't want to believe that type of shit in
Right.
the first place.
Right.
So it's
I think, honestly, to be vulnerable, I think maybe there's a part of me that didn't. I think it was easier to fit in the framework that it's all hoaxes and whatever. Even though I know objectively that there has to be life. I've always known that.
What
it's
if
too big.
what if they were filled with malice? Like what if they literally did just pick people to experiment? What if they were psychopaths?
Hey, guess what?
This is why anything that like we are totally just prey.
Do you know why we are scared of that?
Because we're not used to being prey.
Because we do it.
Yeah, we are the top.
It's like, oh, that's such
chain.
a jump to believe when we do that too.
Yeah,
all the time.
When you think that you are literally the most intelligent being in the universe and you're the top of your own food chain, and then something that renders you powerless.
What are you trying to say, Justin? They eat us?
No, I don't know what they do, and that's the
Thanks
problem.
so much for tuning in. No. Okay, we have to go to an end. And I've been asking people this, so I want to ask you because I feel like you'd have interesting takes. We're going to go down 4 things that I want to ask you about, and I'll give mine. What is a book or an audiobook that you think people are sleeping on? Doesn't have to be some ultimate pick or your senior thesis. Give me just any.
Ultimate. Let me think.
I'm going to go real vague with mine because I haven't been thinking.
Well, that people are sleeping on, like, I could tell
you. Or you think they're missing out, or a personal favorite, maybe something that helped you like at a really detrimental level.
So Think and Grow Rich is
what's hilarious is I was just going to say
obviously that's why I took
that's
it from
hilarious
you. Because
dude.
the way it teaches you to build systems within your mind is really important, and it allows you to use yourself as a resource in ways that most people would never consider. So I think that is really important. All the books by him, Napoleon Hill, or those considered
well before his time.
Those are considered classics.
Yep.
But like as far as the newer ones, they're I can picture the book title, unfortunately.
You don't have to. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't want to give people too much homework. Mine is going to be, because he took mine and I'm on the spot, The Power of Now. Not that I think it's the best new age book or the best, inspirational book, but it's a very palatable, easy read intro to that world. What is a visual medium? It could be a TV show, a movie that you think people are either sleeping on or they could benefit from seeing, or that you really enjoyed that kind of helped your worldview, or you just like. It can be a favorite. Doesn't have to be anything,
I liked What the Bleep Do We Know? That was one of the things that helped kind of open.
You were a
things up
huge
for me.
proponent of What the Bleep Do We Know.
Like in the age of like The Secret, like The Secret's good for like thought provoking things, but they really walk a line that's not extra credible, and so that was the problem with that. And What the Bleep Do We Know is a scientific approach through all of the the double slit experiment and stuff. They paint a much clearer picture of like the power of intention and and how your consciousness
they try to back those up with
actually
science.
affects reality.
Yeah.
And that's the big deal. It's like it is very mind blowing by design. And I like
when
that a
you
lot.
saw it, it was very much needed and perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly.
Me too. I love that.
Yeah, synchronistic timing.
I didn't even, while you're talking, I was so engaged I forgot. I think the title is A Ghost Story. I think Casey Affleck was in it, if I remember right. Maybe Rooney Mara. Total off base, but it's just, I think it's a modern cinematic, I wouldn't say masterpiece, but it's fantastic. It was very sobering, very sad at like a non-sensational level, non-melodramatic level. It was a really good watch.
I'm looking at my audiobooks right now. You have to let me give another one.
I will, but hold on. A music artist, song, album that fit those same categories.
Jeez.
Even if it's just an artist you like, do they have a new record that's dope or whatever? I don't care what it is.
An artist I like. Wow. I mean, I'd like to say that I have a better list of music that I listen to on regular rotation, but that's just not the case anymore. So,
no pressure. Or have you been jamming a playlist lately, or even a song? Have you been stuck on a song? Old record. What's a record you think this new generation might not know? I can think of a few you might be able to give.
An old record. So I think no matter what type of music you're into, I think everyone can appreciate some classic Jay-Z.
What one? Because I was waiting for it. I'm going to guess. Let me guess what it won. No. You tell me. I actually kind of want to know what one you think.
I mean, it's all like depending on what day it is.
Blueprint 2. Reasonable Doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I had always said the Blueprint 2 was my favorite.
You championed that fucking record.
Reasonable Doubt is what most people consider like his biggest cult classic.
Stay with Blueprint 2. That's your thing.
Yeah,
that was your thing.
And the Blueprint 3 is the shit.
The Blueprint 3 for its time, dude, was just as iconic.
But the Blueprint 2, like seriously, you even remotely like hip hop.
Change the game.
It just the way he tells stories, the metaphors he uses to talk about how great he is, explains how great he is
Yeah.
as he's talking about it. Like, he shows you like his greatness in his rhymes, in his stories. It's just impressive. Like,
it's a lesson. It's a masterclass in finesse.
Yeah,
and Jay-Z has it in
poetry
spades.
to a certain extent, you know, in artistic poetry. It's worth it.
Can you admit now that we're 30? Can I put you on the spot? And can you admit that Eminem slayed him on Renegade?
No, never.
Please, dude.
No, I would never.
This is the problem between a stan and a fan.
No,
you're like, no, you're just wrong.
Yeah, no, it is just wrong. But I understand why it's a popular opinion because, yeah, Eminem's verse on that song
rips, dude.
Was good.
And I don't even say that. I've never said something rips.
But yeah, you know, Jay-Z's the best.
Okay, wait. Did you want to shout an audiobook? Because this is what I end with the next question.
It was getting pieces of her name, but I don't know if I can come up with it in time. Her last name, it's Gabrielle. It's like Bernstein or something like that.
Do you know the book title or just any by her you dig?
Yeah, it's in regards to like the power of your mind and not metaphysically, not like
scientifically,
not affecting reality.
Sure.
She's talking about the psychology of, you know, basically controlling and filtering your thoughts and how you can train your subconscious to kind of work for you in all of this. So it's a really mental sorting thing. It's important.
Even I'm going to look that up. I'm excited. I haven't even heard of her. Gabrielle Bernstein or somewhere they're in.
Or something
all
like
right,
that.
Last but not least, a podcast that fit those same bills.
I mean, I listen to a lot of fantasy football podcasts.
That's cool. Do you have a good one that you think's like, you know?
Yeah, but I would never tell you, ever.
Oh, because you like the predictive stuff like you okay. Smart, dude.
Because I win my leagues.
Oh, you're good, dude.
Yeah. But as far as other podcasts, I mean, God.
Again, I'm not looking for...
It feels uncultured for me to say Joe Rogan at this point because it's so overpopular.
So real quick, I want to jump in with the Joe Rogan thing. We've been on this channel specifically amongst talks with the business end. We have been trying so hard to distance that because we don't want to seem like clones. And I brought up just like 3 nights ago to 2 of the guys. I was like, listen, at this point we have to stop because he's no longer... We don't compete with any podcast. We have 14 subscribers. But what I'm saying is, even in the podcast landscape, Joe is so big he's a reference.
Right.
He's not even a show anymore.
Yeah.
You have to be cool with that. So anyway, I agree. I don't think that's corny at all. If that's a podcast you still dig, I like old Joe. I like early Jamie producing Joe or late Red Band. I like when they were sponsored by Crass Stuff and talk that way. But I watch his new shit. Anyone that says they don't, they're lying. If he has a dope guest on, if Elon Musk is on, I'm watching it.
Yeah.
You know, if someone really interesting is on top of their field, I'm watching it.
I scan through it at least once a month, you know, and I've only listened to probably a large handful of what he's put out, but you know, there were some of them that I really enjoyed. So,
well, if you put anyone that's personable and can talk with people that are at the top of their field, it's inevitable that it's gonna be at least worthy of hearing.
Yeah, he kind of created like a genre, you know.
He did.
As far as
he did
this. So.
And my pick for this episode is this one, or anyone on this channel. I want to thank my guest, my longtime friend, my brother from another mother, my sister from another mister, my whatever he identifies as from whatever they identify as.
I identify as a boss.
A boss. You heard it from the man himself. This is Justin Richard. I have been Daniel Taylor. Thank you so much for sticking around for another episode of The Daniel Taylor Show, and we will see you next time.